I think there is an incredible trend in recent years to really emphasize the joy and the celebration of God in a lot of places, the worship, which has been an incredible gift, especially coming off from a time when it seemed like God was an angry God and something to be feared for many people. So we sort of reacted against that tradition, and I think for many reasons it's been positive motivation. At the same time, I think we've sort of wandered away from the reality that the scriptures offer us such a deep and complicated, to use Facebook language, it's complicated relationship with God to give voice to the deepest longings of our hearts. And I think one of the ways when people gather for worship, or whether they gather with friends, it's not just to gloss over the difficult things of life, which I think our music can sometimes do, but to really bring us face to face with those things and to give us the vocabulary to converse with one another and to converse with God, to really share even the most challenging things. And I think part of what it means to sing the scriptures, to be a person of faith, it's like this, I always call it a tightrope between comfort and challenge. And sometimes people want to go to one side or the other completely. They just want to feel completely consoled and everything's great, and the other time people want to just challenge. And I think the scripture is that, both sides, and it's things in between. Sometimes it's coming before God with just complete questions. Many of the Psalms do this. Just raise questions before God and say, how long, O God? We've seen many times, I think in recent years, times of war, times when we've seen horrible atrocities occur, and it's been hard for me to watch sometimes the gravitation towards sort of this music that doesn't really seem to ask those questions. I remember on 9/11, you saw people on the steps of the Capitol singing God Bless America, almost trying to remain strong, when it seemed like what they needed to be singing is, where are you, God, amidst all of this? And I don't think God turns away from that. I think God welcomes that. I think music throughout time has been an incredible source of salvation for people in all sorts of situations. I mean, you think of South Africans, you know, reacting against the apartheid. I mean, they really, the way they found their salvation was through song, and really clinging on to peace, and through the great freedom songs, like Freedom is Coming and We Are Marching, and the many songs of that movement. I think you could say that the South African people sang down apartheid, which is an amazing thing. And you know, you think of slaves who sang powerful, powerful songs, scriptural-based songs, but they weren't just singing about history, salvation history. They were singing about the here and the now and relating these stories to their current struggle. And it really, you know, I think it's the only way sometimes to survive. And I think history has taught us that music is the way to salvation many times. So music has the potential, I would say, to be an incredible source of healing and reconciliation. I think one of the most profound things I do as a music minister is I'll meet with a family to plan a funeral for a loved one. And whether that person is 10 years old or 30 years old or 80 years old, it's the same thing. There's a deep need to want to connect on some level, and music can offer this sort of solace that nothing else can. And I think it's the same thing with forgiveness and reconciliation. I think not only the song itself, but where is the song from? I think singing the songs of other people, sometimes singing songs, playing songs, listening to songs we don't even like, can be a source of healing and reconciliation. It's a way of saying to someone else, I want to know you better, I want to be in a relationship with you. And by participating in that, can be an incredible source of healing. Going back to this idea, to the way people of South Africa sang down the walls of apartheid, I think a really relevant question for us in today's world is, what do we need to sing down? What songs are we missing? Sometimes you can you know, look through a hymnal, a songbook, listen to a CD of music arising from a faith tradition, and you don't hear one song about justice or peace or forgiveness. And I think one of the things we're called to do is look for those gaps. I remember I was working at a church in Chicago, and the particular Sunday, it was right after 9/11, and the readings had to do with forgiveness and reconciliation. And I flipped through the entire English hymnal. I couldn't find one song about our need to forgive one another. I found lots of songs about God's, forgiveness of us and mercy on us, which is a great thing. We should be singing about that. But interestingly, I went to the Spanish hymn book, and I found immediately 5 songs that had to do with the need to forgive one another. One of the most powerful texts was ¿Cómo puedes tú orar cuando estás enojado con tu hermano? How can you pray when you're angry with your brother next to you? Which is a powerful thing to sing, especially in communities where there can be lots of division at times and things that need to be worked through. And I think it was one of those lessons, and wow, we're missing something here, that our faith is calling us to deep reconciliation and to be bearers of peace and healing in the world. And our music can often be a mirror. The songs we sing in worship, the songs we listen to throughout the week can be a mirror of who we are sometimes. And sometimes we need to look at our music and say, hey, what do I need more of in my diet here of music that might be calling me to something more deep, more intentional, more peacemaking, more healing in this world.